I change clothes like my hoes. I love designer, and I change my flows like who knows. I want the commas, Benihana.
I need everyone to take a moment and give their hearts to Attack on Titan, to Eren Yeager, to the Squad Regiment, to the Scouts that gave their lives trying to protect Parody Island and save the world. It was a very good anime, so I have to take my time to make a video on this. Let's not worry about how long the video is going to be, because this video may end up being rather long. But we really need to cover the part 2 of the season finale, because might I say it was a complete masterpiece and nothing short of perfection. Really glad that they depicted this animation in that way. And you know, just got to get into it. But before we do that, make sure you like, subscribe, share with a friend. Go check out my other Attack on Titan content, as well as I'll leave some cards in the video throughout the video. And let's get into it, guys. We start with chapter 3, the Battle of Heaven and Earth. And might I say that watching this final episode helped me understand and answer a lot of questions that I'll actually be answering throughout the video. It helped me answer a lot of questions about the Attack on Titan lore and the universe in general. And I was pretty happy for that, because it kind of just answered a lot of questions that didn't need to be answered. One of the things that captivated me the most about Attack on Titan and made me continue coming back was the fact that it just was always so mysterious. It just left so many cliffhangers and plot holes that you just wanted to keep knowing more and more. Not everything gets answered. Unfortunately, some things are kind of just like, all right, why did the mangaka put this in there? But for the most part, you kind of have a general pretty good grasp of how this thing ends and why things play out the way that they do. So that being said, be on the lookout for a couple more Attack on Titan content videos, because there are a couple more rabbit holes I want to go down before I completely leave Attack on Titan alone for the most part, because I really don't see how people continue to make content on things that just aren't ongoing. It just kind of gets boring to me. Like, boring, snoozer, pretty boring to me. But I don't know, some people can do it. Maybe eventually when I progress in my content creation, I'll be able to do that as well. But let's begin with the first thing that stood out to me. That question was asked, question was answered right away. Number 1, first thing was, I was like, what is this bullshit half cow creature that just swallowed Armin? I was like, all right, so they're just writing stuff in now. And if you're a manga guy, definitely forgive me, because obviously I'm an anime guy, so I'm just not getting to it. I don't like to read the manga because it spoils it for me. I'd much rather just wait until the animation comes out and watch it then, you know, get it in live action and color, things like that, because it just makes it better for me, more enjoyable. And I think the manga has a small core of followers, whereas the anime usually has like a bigger audience and a bigger fan base, so it's more exciting for everyone. But yes, the half bull type of creature that can crawl and jump swallowed Armin, and I was like, well, what is that supposed to be? Then they explained that all those apparitions were basically the former titans of the founding titan, basically all the reincarnations of all the former titans. So anyone that died and had a titan ability, they get stored within the founding titan, and the founding titan is able to use them as well. So based on what it looked like, I'm guessing it was the beast titan, but it moved a little bit like a jaw titan or maybe a cart titan, so I don't know, but most likely a beast titan, because as we saw, like in a couple of those, if you looked really well, we saw one that looked like an alligator, and a lot of them that look very strange. So I'm guessing a beast titan can look like almost any animal. It's very just based on what human being was occupying the ability at that time. And I was like, that's very interesting. I think the Attack on Titan power universe, because it's so unique, it doesn't get a lot of recognition, but their power system is very cool, honestly. It's like very unique, nothing like we've ever seen in anime before. Speaking of Titan forms, Falco's jaw Titan form was so cool. Bravo. I'm not gonna lie, I was like surprised. Even though I've heard about it already, I knew he was really good with the Jaw Titan. I'm wondering why that is, that he got wings compared to everyone else. Maybe it's because like he had blood that was predisposed to the Jaw Titan already, seeing that I think his brother was a Jaw Titan, or his brother was meant to be the Jaw Titan. Whatever the case was, everyone manifests Titan forms in different ways, which is so crazy. Obviously his name is Falco, so cool that he ended up being a falcon, but it's like, what are the odds of him getting wings out of that form? That was so cool. They were like, we didn't even know if he'd be able to fly, but here he could fly, so it's an advantage for us. Everything worked out in the end. It was pretty cool. Falcon gets the coolest transformation for me, and that part of the finale was just super cool, gotta say, guys. Let's go back to the time when Armin was gagged inside of that Titan, just waiting to, get put back into the battle. I was like, pause, they got that man gagged though, can't even fight. That was a little funny to me, but just something I want to comment on. You really come to understand how drastic the stakes are through a lot of the imagery in Attack on Titan. Like, one scene that was very pivotal to me was the baby scene scene where they were passing the baby back and forth, trying to save it from falling over the cliff, and it was just like, it was from one doom to another, in my opinion. It was very poetic, and like, even just the color scheme and everything that was going on, the music. Shout out this soundtrack. I need to find the soundtrack. It sounds like something right out of Vinland Saga. I'm not gonna lie. I know that whoever worked on the Vinland Saga soundtrack definitely had to have worked in some capacity on this Attack on Titan soundtrack, because masterpiece, guys. I couldn't choose a better word for that. You come to understand how dire this situation is when you see Reinar literally having to transform so many times, and then there was a point in the battle where he just gets crushed by the ghost or the skeletal structure of Bertholdt, his Colossal Titan, and it's just like, wow, that's the sheer power of the Colossal Titan. Like, it's almost like the Nine Tails just being that much stronger than all the tail beasts in one. It's kind of crazy because like they all have their own varying strengths and stuff, but it was just an uphill battle the whole time, and you kind of really just felt bad for the whole gang. It's like, damn, they fought battle after battle. They've lost a lot of people, and they were still losing people. It just felt like a never-ending battle. Also, Levi Ackerman, if he was more healed for this battle, maybe it could have been a bit more of a help, but I don't think it would have made much of a difference. Obviously, the author wrote him in very damaged for this battle, so he still did his thing though. You know, he still tried his best. After watching this, I really came to appreciate the character development in all of these characters, even in the way it ends, without spoiling it, because I want you guys to watch it for yourself. But Mikasa stays true to her character up until the very end. Speaking of Mikasa, she deserves an I'm him video. I know she's a woman, but she deserves an I'm him. I think there was a point in the battle where she actually gets felled, like she falls down and actually takes, you know, some damage. And I was like, this may be the first time I've ever seen Mikasa take damage. She's normally the one always putting out the damage and saving her teammates. And obviously, for reasons I'm not going to explain, she was injured because her head wasn't in it. Like, there was some information I was given to her that, you know, kind of messed her up emotionally and mentally, and that's why she couldn't fight at her fullest capacity. But normally Mikasa is always dealing out the damage. She's always on point, always 100%, and she never loses. That's just the power of the Ackerman clan. Captain Levi is the same way, but, you know, at the end of the day, they're human beings still. They can't be perfect. Another character that definitely deserves another notable mention is Reinar, because he had such an internal conflict in the earlier stages of the show, and then unraveling their secret, and then seeing him at the end of this all makes him one of the most redeeming characters in all of anime history. I'd honestly put him up there with characters like Zuko was in anime, Avatar: Last Airbender, but Zuko, Vegeta, and characters of that nature, because he really redeems himself and shows that he's basically a scout. He was a scout the whole time, and he's willing to do whatever it takes for the greater good of everybody. Speaking of Reinar, I wonder how many times he can transform and how long he can stay in his transformed state. I think I want to answer that question for all 9 of the Titan forms, but obviously Peak, the Cart Titan, can stay transformed for the longest, and she can transform as many times. I think she said upwards of 100 times, which is crazy because the Cart Titan has the most stamina. So that's interesting. I want to get a breakdown of each of the different Titans and how long they can transform and how many transformations they get within a day. Because I think Reinar only might get like 2 or 3, and I think you can train it. Obviously, someone like Annie with the female Titan, she seems to also have great mastery over her abilities. Maybe she could transform a good amount of times as well. Before we move on to the final 2 chapters that we reviewed, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend if you're really enjoying this video. It helps the channel a lot, and I greatly appreciate it. So the next 2 chapters, A Long Dream and Toward the Tree on That Hill, are very poetic, and I think it's used to symbolize or augment the symbolism and power of Attack on Titan. You don't want to mistake Attack on Titan for just an action shonen anime, because it's by no means that. It's a dark fantasy world, post-apocalyptic world, where things don't always go the way you want them to go. Sometimes the hero doesn't always win. The hero doesn't always get the girl. You know, sometimes the hero has to make sacrifices, and that's the reality of life. You know what I'm saying? After watching this whole anime in its totality, I still cannot understand the concept of the founder Ymir. Is she the god of their universe? Because obviously she's given this godlike ability. Is this godlike ability given to an 8-year-old child who has the love for her husband or King Fritz? I'm just not someone that abused her. Is this the power that was given to someone of an 8-year-old girl? Does she still have that mindset, or did she grow out of that mindset? And why can only Eren really understand and connect with her? It's just a crazy scene, and it's a lot of symbolism to the point where I don't think every viewer truly understands like what the main goal was of Ymir. And let me know what you guys think in the comments about that, because that's something I'm still pondering. Could be a lot of videos made about that, but you know, as we see with all the Eldians, they have this strange sort of connection. So what Eren was able to do with Ymir seems like what Armin is able to do with Zeke and the other couple of of Titans, this is how he's able to turn the tide and get them to fight on his side. But it almost seems like at the end, like Ymir is not evil, just misunderstood, same as Eren. But I mean, it's kind of hard to say that when you wipe out, you know, the human race. It's kind of hard to justify or even deem yourself a worthy person of such power when you use it and just go power hungry with it. Even Eren states later that he was a power hungry, young, immature person. I kind of wanted to expand more on Zeke the Wonder Boy. He was one of my most favorite characters. I think the most common motif of Attack on Titan is the fact that everyone is misunderstood. There's always a motive and a story, and also the quote, you're always a villain in someone else's story. I think that tends to be the case with a lot of characters because Zeke is heavily misunderstood. Eren is heavily misunderstood. All of these characters have just been through so much in this evil world, and it's kind of developed them into the people that they are. But I don't think anyone's truly evil. It's kind of annoying to say because it's kind of like, if the founder Ymir is a god, right? And if we don't attribute human-like traits to gods, then they have no right to feel the way that humans feel, and we cannot sympathize with them the way we sympathize with human beings. It's a deep concept, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's just, what happened to Ymir was over 2,000 years ago. If we're saying that it took her over 2,000 years of grief to really get over this, and also she doesn't connect with anyone in that 2,000 years of all of the founders. They all do the same thing, but Eren is just the one person able to connect with her and use her power to do what he wants to do with the world. In the case of what? I don't know. It just wasn't making much sense to me. That's what tends to happen when you have a very good anime. Sometimes when the story's too good, you can suffer from not being able to close the story. You can write a really good story, but not know how to finish. So I can understand that. I'm not saying the mangaka didn't finish it well. I'm just saying that there's gonna be some things that just don't make a lot of sense. The last thing, an overarching theme that really brings everything home though, is Attack on Titan is meant to be confusing for this very reason. Eren, it's basically told through the view lens of Eren. If we want to be realistic, I think that's where the author is telling the story from. And the problem with Eren's viewpoint is he is seeing everything past, present, and future simultaneously. He states that to Armin. So basically there's this scene where him and Armin are speaking. At a point I was like, is this even real? Is this happening? And I'm sure it happened. It's a flashback, but it's very hard to understand Eren. He's almost acting somewhat schizophrenic or bipolar in nature. I'm not a doctor, so I can't diagnose it, but it was great. I just didn't make sense to me. Then I understood, okay, so the ability of being able to see the past, future, and present, that's too much for a human being. That's why, you know, being a god, it's for gods only. It's not for humans. Like Ymir at the end of the day was still a human. She made a pact with the devil or whatever the case was to get this godlike power, but she still was human. So Eren as a human being, he got drunk with power trying to wield this ability. But the way it goes off, not to go on a tangent, it ends pretty, you know, peaceful in my opinion. Like obviously no one's gonna be happy. It's kind of like, let's look at the end game version of Marvel and understand this is how things end. For the most part, like not everyone wins, but not everyone loses. Like there's still hope, and I think that's the whole point for Eren and his friends and his team, Armin and everybody, Mikasa. There was still hope at the end of the day, and that's all that matters in the Attack on Titan universe. As long as there's hope, they can keep moving forward. Thank you for watching the video, guys. This is it for today. Definitely stay tuned because I got a couple more videos out on Attack on Titan coming very soon, and be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and before you go, remember to, as always, find your zen, your final form. I'll catch you in the next one, guys.
And I change clothes like my hoes. I love designer, and I change my flows like who knows.